All right, guys. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Modern Brown Men. My name is Amrit, and we got Muk, and today we got a modern brown woman, as we can say on our as a host, Mannu Sandhu. As some people might be familiar, some people might not be, but for people that don't know, she has her hats, a hand in different hats, like when it comes to filmmaking, whether it comes to real estate and just being an entrepreneur in general, pushing the agenda for, in our community guidelines or even as a woman. So, it's great to have this conversation because, we always have people from our own, like, gender. As a man, we bring people, but it's always intriguing to bring another woman on just to see the conversation and how to get a different perspective out there. So,
Definitely.
Thank you for taking your time out of your day to come out and,
Thank you for that amazing introduction. No, I'm glad you guys have a woman coming on board. It's nice to know both perspective, and I'm kind of funny too, so I can make a laugh.
We'll keep it, mellow. Sometimes it's our interviews can be like so uptight, and I've been looking at Mocha, I'm like, man, people gonna hate this episode. It's good to keep balance. But speaking of balance, like you're always on the go, because especially when real estate and whatnot, and having being married and everything, and then having a husband that, as people know, is Raj Admi. That's, man, he's a different breed in itself. So and how do you find balance, like, been the main thing that driven you from like the get-go when you moved here, finding the balance to fit in? Because I think you were 14, which is usually like a weird timing, because I moved here when I was 12, and I couldn't speak a word of it in English.
Really? Oh my God, I would have never guessed.
I know. I couldn't speak a word of it in English, and the transition was so hard.
Where
so I was actually born here, but I moved to India. I was close to Ropar.
Okay.
So a small little pen, maybe like 100 people in the pen. That's about it. But
I know where Ropar is. I moved here at 14, and I swear to God, I thought I went to like an English medium school. I had like, we spoke English all the time there, Hindi and English. Yeah. When I got here, I couldn't even pick up the phone and like say one line, and I'm like, what just happened to me? It was crazy. Yeah. So it was really scary, being the eldest. And then I felt like I came from there and I transformed into a different human being. Like, I remember being a kid there, and all of a sudden I came here and I felt like I was like 25 years old. I was like, what, did I just age?
Did I age?
I swear, I didn't have that going to school anymore. Like, it felt like I was like, I just needed to hustle right away. Like, the moment we moved here, it was really strange. Yeah. And I'm like, I've never been able to experience like growing up. I felt like I grew up so fast. And it was funny because I had to call the emergency because my dad got sick right away when he came, and I couldn't put words together. I was like, wow, like I had like tingles all over my legs. I couldn't feel anything. I'm like, I don't even know how to talk. But anyway, from that point onwards, I was like, no, I can speak the language. Like, I just need to be more confident. And the ripple effect happened, and my dad got me to volunteer in a bunch of places at a very young age. So I think I was so motivated. And the biggest thing was like, and I repeat this all the time, is that we were renting for a long time in India, right? Like, my dad was, he was studying, he was not studying, he was teaching at a university, and then we moved places as his job was kind of changing. And then we had one main house where my grandpa and my uncles lived, but we didn't live with them. And when I got here, I was like, you know what? Like, my mom's never had a house. So I want to build a house for her. I'm like, okay. I'm like, why does this thought come to like a 14-year-old, right? Because I'm like, okay, I've never seen my mom in a house. I would like to put her in a house. And the first year when I got here, I worked in a farm. Like, I've never worked in a farm in my life. I was a city girl.
What did you do there?
I was berry picking.
Oh, no. Oh,
literally, like a 14-year-old. Like, and I know there's a lot of young women, men that lived here, born here. They did that a lot. But I came from a city, and I was like 20 shades darker. I was like, wow, like what the hell? What happened to me? But I was so motivated because I'm like, I want to buy my first set of couch for my parents, for my mom and my dad. And I did that. I think I saved like $900 that in like 2 months. I'm like, berry picking and doing the flats and getting those little, what do you call them? Little stamps things. Yeah. So I got to experience all of that. And cool. It was nice. It kind of started to build my character. And my dad used to always joke around, be like, "Tu thanedar nahi banna, jo tu vaddi hoyi." I'm like, okay. I'm like, what the hell is that? It's like, you're going to be a police officer. I'm like, okay. So I don't think it was like he was like manipulating me, obviously, you know, at a young age.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're going to go be a police officer. And then I kept that with me. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go be a cop, be a cop, be a cop.
So you actually became one?
I became a correctional officer.
Oh, okay.
I studied political science and criminology in school. And then I became a corrections officer. And then soon enough, I was like, you know, I don't know if I can get to the next step.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's
like
for
what's
me.
the next step after
correctionals? Would be going into policing. But I really loved the arts and the entertainment. So I kept that in my back pocket from the time I was studying as well, right? Like I was acting, I was modeling, because I knew that would build my character in the most positive way.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So I literally just worked on getting better every day. Just, you know, get better. If you can't do something, just get up and be better from the previous day. That was kind of the motivation.
Yeah. And that's such a cool thing to see too, because like we come from a perspective of like when we come here, it's like our parents gave away their dreams for us, and then for us to kind of give back is like it's a heartwarming thing for us. Because the thing is like for them it was never the fact that like, okay, what can we give ourselves? What can we give ourselves? It was always what can we give to our kids so they can be in a better position for the future generation.
And they were kids themselves. Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine being 21 now and getting married and having kids? And I'm like, I couldn't even think of that.
And even think about it, majority of the marriages back then, it was arranged marriage.
Yeah.
You literally saw it, like, you met your husband, like a night before, but like, yeah, this is who you're getting married to. This is their family. You guys are married.
Yeah.
Don't know anything what this person's about.
Yeah.
You don't know, if there's the woman or a man, whether they're crazy or not. You don't know.
You find out after you're married.
And then, the crazy part is the amount of relationships that it kind of, I guess, I don't know if it's a negative, it could be a negative thing or bad thing. Amount of parents that like, I guess, overlook their happiness just to make us happy. Because they're like, you know what, like, okay, we're here. I hate you, you hate me, but like, let's stay together to give a better life.
I agree, and that's what I mean. I'm sure my parents are like, even though they had love marriage, that was unheard of. I'm like, you guys had love marriage, and
you
how?
were different.
And the other day we were like driving, and then my dad started singing this song, and he's like, oh, this lady that sings this song, whatever her name was, I was supposed to be married to her. And I'm like, oh, this is really new. I'm like, this is the first time I'm ever hearing my dad talk about this. And with my mom in the car, I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, oh, so you could have had a different wife, right? And my mom's laughing. I'm like, but why didn't you pick her? He's like, oh, something about the physique, And I'm like, well, that makes you so funny. Like, that's so hilarious. I'm like, you're saying that. He's like, I'm like, but I'm like, she had a really great voice. You said she's a singer. You could have been married to a singer, right? So I'm like trying to like play with them. But yeah, they didn't really, they didn't have a lot of choices. And I find that even with my mom, like, she grew up and then all of a sudden she was like trying to find what she wanted to do after she got married. She didn't really have the chances that I think we personally have, like I can thrive. Like I'm not worried about like having like kids right now or like, if that happens, but that's not my goal at this time, So I can really focus in my career. So they've given us a big platform.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing too, as you've spoken to, is like, we don't have that burden because they had the burden to get married at a certain age, have kids by like 25, 26 or even younger than that. And then just building a family. It's like, that was the only goal. It's like, build a family, build a family, and that's it. And then as you said, for us, it's like, we can prolong that process of like, okay, really understanding who we are and what we want. Because then that allows like our next generation to be that much better from what our parents get. They did the best they could to give our generation be better than them. And now we have that obligation and to be that little bit better and then give it in a better position for the next generation to come. So, and one thing I want to talk about in your career is, so you became a correctional officer at like what? How old were you?
I was probably 20.
20, yeah. So you were still fairly young, and then kind of understanding that, because like that is a drastic shift. Because people don't understand. Like, well, I guess you lived in a city, so it might not have been as drastic, but still, that culture shock is insane.
We were still kids.
Yeah,
there was
and
a big
we're
culture
kids.
shock.
Yeah, it's a big culture shock. So, as you're like kind of filtering yourself in like, well, pretty much you're going into high school in like 2 years, and then like university is coming up. So like, did you feel like it was just kind of hard for you to fit in, and you didn't see yourself? Be like, you know what? I don't know if I can. I don't know if I like this culture. Do you ever feel like that? Because I felt that disconnect. I'm like, I don't fit in. The first 2 years, I'm like, Mom, I want to leave. Let's go back home. I hate this place.
I don't know. There was a lot of times I didn't fit into the whole school. Like looking for your home school. what's it called? Homeschool?
Yeah, but like where you're
home,
tutoring after?
No. Like, you know, when you all get together in the beginning of the year, you go to like one class where like you kind of meet everybody. I forget the name anyway.
Yeah.
So
we'll find it.
It was really awkward. Like the first year I went to school, I'm like, this is because first of all, we always wore uniform, right? We never wore like just regular clothes. So it was really awkward for me to like get dressed up and like not know what I'm wearing. And then just really like judgmental. Like kids were so judgmental at that age, right? And you don't realize that nobody wants to be your friend. Nobody talks to you. Even people that are South Asian or Indian, they're not talking to you, right? Because you're all of a sudden a different looking person, you know. Like you have like long hair, so you're I was braiding my hair because that's how we were disciplined to do in our school, right? So that's how I looked, and I'm like, this is really strange. And then the only place I found friends were in an ESL class. You know, I was like, oh my god, like I can now relate to, you know, that was all of us at some point. And I'm like, okay, so I can relate to you guys. So then I started to kind of build confidence and friends, but it was such a small group. Like you still felt like kind of the underlining bullying in school. A lot of the women now I'm kind of friends with or I know. So it's like it's not that they did it intentionally. That's how they grew up here, you know. Either they were learning it at home, like, oh, like let's create this divide, or the parents were talking about us the certain way. So then the kids felt that way as well, right? So there's a lot of that stuff happening, and it was a very difficult time. I think grade 9 was probably one of the hardest years I ever had, even though I was like an honor roll student, like I did really well in school. But it was a really hard year. Yeah.
Because it's hard as well. Because like, you know, you're trying to improve, but you know, like you sound way different than everybody else, and you know it. They know it.
I still do.
Right? It's because they know. Like when you have an accent. I tell this story to people every time. It's like, to this day, like at first in that moment, I thought this was like a cool accomplishment, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so in grade 9, because like in Edmonton and Alberta, I was like grade 9, you graduate and then you go to high school. So grade 9, like everybody's getting their awards. So some of my friends are going, they're like best at math, best at this. So my dumbass gets up there. They give me the best accent award. Not knowing in that moment, like this is racist as hell. Like in that moment, I had no idea. I'm like, it's like a little plate. It's like a little plate that wrote best accent with glitters, right? Because that's how the awards were back then. So I thought it was the greatest accomplishment. I'm like, I'm funny. I don't know. But not realizing, like at the time,
that actually our own community frowns upon it. You know, because sometimes when you feel like non-South Asian people are talking to you, they're like, oh, that's really cool. Like you have an accent. I'm like, yeah, and I still have it. I feel like sometimes it comes when I'm really passionate, it comes out even more. I don't notice it, but like people are like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, what do you mean? You know, like
I'm from here.
I'm from here. I've been living here for 25 years. Most of my life has been here. So we did see that, and you still see a very underlining way of racism everywhere. You know, especially with what's happening with politics right now, you see it even more. So this is a time to even unite more. You know, to stand up in like the beliefs that you have is to stand up for them, and then just hardcore, like, you know, go after it. It doesn't matter, because that's what's gonna help you and people around you, because we need to strengthen them. You know?
I agree.
Yeah,
I think we could dive into that too, because I feel like now with the political scene the way it is, it's like we're almost frowned upon on like giving, because you know what it is, like Mannu, you know, it's just funny because like now it's like we find a scapegoats, like students are an easy target. Because I was talking to someone about this. I'm like, you know, it's not the fault that they came here. It's the fault of the government botting that overlooked the funnel they came through.
The system,
because the thing is, like, okay, if someone saying they can have a better life for the people or the dad, they can provide a better life, why wouldn't they come here?
Why wouldn't they come here? We all came here.
We all came here, but the issue is like a lot of them, some of them, it's not a lot, it's some of them that don't embody the culture that's here. And that triggers people. They're like, oh, look, that's everybody. But that's not the reality. Sure. Assimilating themselves into the culture here, correct. There should be some sort of standard that needs to be upheld. I don't disagree with that. But that doesn't mean that overcasts all the good that the 90% is doing, the 10% that might be bad. That's everywhere. If I were to pinpoint 10% of the Caucasians that were bad and overcast that over the whole population, that narrative can go in any facets, whether it doesn't matter what culture, what religion, it could go anywhere. But, you know, again, it's just like that, the divide's been so prevalent recently now. And people just need something to pick at, and this is something that's an easy scapegoat for them.
I totally agree. And I feel like, you know, I think the system itself hurt them. When they came here, they were excited, and they're also manipulated a lot. Whether it be by businesses here, like people taking advantage of how much they can work. There's a lot of that happening, which is not fair.
It's not.
It's really hard for them to be here. Like if you look at how they're living, some of them that are in that living condition, it's probably worse than where they came from, right? Like some of them come from really good families, and they're just not making ends meet here. So
I think it's understanding, because like a lot of people that don't know, like imagine if a student, like I don't think majority of the population even know, let's say, how much are they paying in tuition? How much is it capped for? How much they can work, right? This is embetterment for them. But when your tuition per semester is like $9,000 and you're working only 20 hours a week,
it doesn't match.
Sense, the math is not mathing. I cannot say 9,000 per semester.
Are you going to feed yourself, or are you going to go pay for your school at that point, right? Because you also, and then are you going to send money back home?
Yeah,
because that's still happening.
Another,
It's not like it's not happening at this time. Like parents are like putting everything together to send you here, and then the pressure's coming to the kids like, hey, so now you have to send money back. It's really tough. It's really tough.
It's even in our own culture, like within our own family. They're like talking to cousins that are here. They're like, "Aaja pota, kuch nahi honda aaya," but they don't tell the reality of the things that are happening here. So
it does change their life, though.
It does,
honestly, right? Like if somebody can sustain it that way and just push through, it will change their life.
It will.
I mean, Canada. I don't know if it still is, but it was a place where people all wanted to move, as immigrants. Right now, maybe people are not looking at it that way, but we are a place where people say, like, we're safe. Where people can come and build a career, But now, as the newer generations coming on, they're like, we're seeing opportunities everywhere else, We can work behind the computer from anywhere in the world. So things are changing, I
agree. So, I mean, India is like when it comes to the world economy, it's one of the biggest economies out there, right? And given with everything going on in the landscape, I mean, India itself, like when you actually look at the educational system, I think is one of the best when it comes to how many people come out of it, like education-wise. Because I came here in grade 6, I knew stuff they were teaching in grade 9, in grade 6. So when I was sitting there, I'm like, we did this in grade 6. You guys learning this in grade 9? I'm like, this is a joke.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That's why I'm like, honor roll? Yeah, sure. Why not? Bring it on, Yeah. So definitely.
I think that's just subject. It's like you can go on and on about, but, it's just little understanding from, everybody can go a long way in kind of, as you said, binding people together. I think it's important. But, going back to your story, so you were a correctional officer at 20. And now I saw somewhere you ran for modeling and you were Miss Pageant runner-up in B.C., I believe, or something like that, right?
I did a lot of them.
Yeah, you did a lot of them. So where did that whole passion come from? So you're a correctional officer. So as you're deciphering your career, you'd be like, okay, I want to transition to something different, or I want to do something part-time, or I want to see something, I want to provide a better life for my parents, or whatever it is. That what driven you to become a real estate agent, or whatever that was in the time? What pushed you in these career path and made you go out of your comfort zone?
I think the focus was always, like you just said it, your comfort zone. I was always trying to push that boundary to be like, how do I develop myself? How do I get better? Because for me, I cut the noise around me really fast. Like, I don't really care what people say about me, who they think I am. I'm like, how do I get better tomorrow? What's going to motivate me to be a better person than I was right now? So I'm constantly in that space, so doing modeling, acting, or going on ramps, because I couldn't public speak. Like, I'll tell you one time, I was literally like, I had studied for an audition. Like, I thought I had all the lines. And I go to Vancouver Film School. The audition was happening. 2 people sitting there. I come in. I froze so badly that I couldn't even say one line, and I ran out.
Oh, wow.
I literally ran out. This is like probably like when I'm 18 or 19, and I was like, what just happened? I mean, I have no clue. Yeah. I froze, and I was so scared. But that is how you kind of figure out who you are, right? The moment that happens, you're like, I have to grow out of this. So for me, that even till now, that is my biggest battle, is with myself. I wake up, I'm like, how am I going to be better? What am I going to do that's going to help my body or my mental health? I don't yes, I get inspired, which is fine, but it's like I'm constantly just, having a fight with myself.
So how are you going to embody the next person, like next Mannu to be?
Next person to be,
Okay. So I'm guessing like that got you into like different sectors and eventually into filmmaking as well. And then ISAF so you founded ISAF as well, correct?
So I produce a film festival called International South Asian Film Festival. Yeah. And the reason why I do this is because I've pretty much embodied that I'm now the arts and culture. I'm an advocate for the arts and culture, because storytelling is the most beautiful way to tell people what we want to do in terms of when we want to change something, right? When we look at films, film is one way to educate us, There's always a message behind a film. There's always some kind of history piece, or it's always teaching us something. So when I started the festival, it was very important for me to know where our stories were going as South Asians, Are we getting to the mainstream? Is our mainstream looking at us and actually learning our stories? So 10 years ago, that wasn't there. Now there's so many mediums, We've made enough noise for our South Asian artists to go out in Hollywood right now. Like, they're kind of living the life where, like, we are one of the main artists that they'll pick as a main character. Before, it wasn't like that. So it's advocating for that over the years. Not just me. There's many, many people like me that's doing it. So having our South Asian voice and making sure that our stories are heard is one of the biggest mandate of the festival.
Yeah, and that's such a cool thing to see as well, as you said, because, like, there were not that many faces that kind of look like us and put on a mainstream. And then, and that's what's so beautiful now is, like, we're able to have these different platforms where we can present ourselves in a manner where, okay, if I want to put myself in here, we have that opportunity.
Yeah.
And having, voices as yourself, whether, it's in a woman or a man position, it's beautiful to see, especially in a household where a lot of times women passion was suppressed.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I have seen a lot, because, like, I say this to my mom all the time. I'm like, Mom, I'm like, in a different world, I'm like, I try to push her, but she's, like, at a point where, like, I guess she's content, she doesn't care. I'm like, in a different world, I'm like, you could have won any cooking competition you would want to. I mean, you could have been you watch those Master Chef, this, that. This woman could cook her heart out.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Like, she knows I love, like gulab jamun, like homemade ones.
Yeah.
So, like, she'll make it from scratch.
Yeah.
And it just, and because she loves it.
Yeah, of course.
And not in a different way. I'm like, Mom, imagine if, like, you pursue this.
Yeah.
But you never speak about your passion. I'm like, I know you love cooking, but you never pursued it. So it kind of it goes to show, like, I guess on a man's side as well. But, like, women were more put so on the back burners in a lot of the relationships when it comes to, like, back in the day, because that wasn't their duty to go
and I think
out
they
there.
still do. I think, women still have to fight a lot, whether it be at home, whether it be at work, we still have to fight a lot, It's always like we have to raise our voice to make something for you to believe in, whereas men can just say something and it's like, okay, we take you seriously, but it's like the woman has to be persistent and almost like angry to, like, make a point happen. Otherwise, it's like she's not taken seriously, right? Yeah. And then you're all of a sudden you're like, well, you're too bitchy. Or, like, you're being too bossy. Like, okay, so, like, if I want my point to be heard, if I'm assertive, you don't believe me. But the moment I'm becoming more angry about something, then you're gonna believe me, right? This happens in workplace. It happens at homes. So the women are still not taken seriously as we should be. But it's gonna evolve over time. It's gonna change, because our fathers' generations and then their kids are still mentored that way, right? Because dad's still the boss at home. So.
How do you feel like the balance is getting like thrown off when it comes to that aspect, though? So what I mean by that is, like, okay, so in a household, like, when you speak traditionally, like, was traditional household, right? People may have a different dichotomy of what that is. Now, some of them might say, like, okay, a traditional household, a man goes and earns, and woman takes care and nurtures a home, because that's, what it is. Like, there's a saying where, like, man can provide a blueprint, but the woman that builds and nurtures a house, she's the one who keeping it alive. A man can lead, but, like, the woman is the one that, like, pretty much, she's like the pillar. It's like the roots are pretty much built by the woman. And so now, like, a lot of the times what I feel, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you can educate both. Me and Mook talk about this. I'm like, now it's like, from a man's perspective, it's like that understanding of that aspect of as well, that nurturing aspect that woman provides, it's sometimes kind of put on the back burner. But, like, no, we didn't want to do that no more.
Yeah.
We want to be, like, as a lot of people say, but, like, no, we want to be the earners. We want to be the boss of the house, this, that. But when you see that shift, I feel like it kind of, in a way, you do set your household for a disaster, because then now it's like the roles are all messed up. People are not, like, as a man, you're not living up to your roles that you're supposed to. As a woman, you're not living up to the roles you're supposed to. Because there is, people say there is no such thing. Yes, there is. Like a man and a woman, we're very different. Yeah. Women are the more nurturer. But when that kind of disappears in a household, like, it gives a different, it puts a different, climate change, like, around all over. So how do you how do you balance that battle that's going on right now? Like,
I think it probably maybe comes from a place of ego too. I feel like women are nurturers, but it's not that they can't go and fulfill a CEO's role. I feel like a woman is always going to take care of a house differently than a man is.
100%.
So I think that's always going to be there. But it's more like, hey, I'm definitely going to go and do this because that's what I like. I don't want to be like, I want to be like a man, right? Like, for instance. But that's the mentality of like some women, because sometimes it's like maybe they didn't get nurtured at home the way they wanted to. Maybe there was so many difficulties for them at home. They just felt like, hey, if I become the man of the house, it's better for me, So then they become more in a space where like they're also finding themselves, I think the heart is still, they're always going to be nurturing. It doesn't matter. The moment there is, life in the house, they're automatically going to go into that role, but they're going to still work. Like there's so many women that we know now, they're moms, they're CEOs, they're taking care of the house, they're taking care of they have balanced it in such a beautiful way. And I commend those women. It's really amazing to see. But then some also get lost in that transition where they kind of go maybe too much onto that side where they're like, well, we'll earn everything that we want. And I really commend them too, because now they have a different statement to prove, and it's not to prove to anybody. I think it's to prove to themselves, like, hey, I can be the earner. I don't care. I don't really need a man in my life, So I don't think we should be kind of disheartened by that too, because that's just how we're going to evolve eventually. Maybe there'll be a time where people might not want to be married, You can already see in the next generation, they're like, well, we don't really care for marriage. We don't really care for kids, So I feel like they've become maybe a whole, just as a person, where they're just happy with being who they are, So I don't think there's really that, like the families that are going to kind of be together, they'll always be together, but then there is going to be people that want to be, they're going to push the boundaries. They're going to be like, no, this is how we want to live our life, because maybe in their upbringing, the father was just so strict and they just didn't have that good relationship, or how they see the mom being treated was not good, and now they're like, I don't care, no man's going to ever talk to me like that, So it's just developing how you want to, like for me, I'm like, I want to have a balanced life where I can be the mom, the mother, and I can also be the man that I need to be, if I need to be in a position where I'm the CEO of the company, yes, I'm going to take full authority. But if I'm at home with my husband, I'm also going to be a wife. I don't care, like that's how I've kind of taught myself.
Yeah. And then it's just with what you just discussed, what you just said right now is just like being at home, you're feminine, right? But you're also with like, when you're out there, you're I'm a leader, masculine in that sense. Yeah. Like I wouldn't label it as masculine. It's just more, you're kind of more independent in that sense, right? Yep. But it's just that confusion between the two, because it's just like, I'm not gonna say all women. Like some women, they have that same type of attitude that they don't need a man, and they bring that at home too. Yeah. Right. And then that's where it becomes a bit of a confusion. It's just like where from a man's perspective, it's like, okay, so then if you don't need a man, you're bringing this type of atmosphere, this type of attitude at home, then why am I here then?
I think that's what I mean. Like the woman has to be like happy with herself that she doesn't need to say that to the man, right? Like if you're so confident that you don't need the man, great. Like he is there because you guys came into a relationship together, so you guys made it happen together. So of course, like you don't need his money, you don't need any of that, but still you need a partner, right? Because that's like, if you look at celebrities, there's women that are super successful right now, but they're married, and they're not married for somebody's money. They're like, hey, we're married because we need a good companion. So if the man or the woman is not ready to have that companionship, it's hard, and if the man also has this ego, and the woman has this ego, then it becomes really difficult to work around it. And that's when I find like they actually need to go do some more work within themselves, where like, hey, what's going to make me really happy? Because that situation is not making them happy, because they're actually internally not happy at all.
What would you consider as work though? Like, would it be somebody finding like that's a mentor that's already in that type of life where they're married and they already have an understanding like how to balance between the two? Like, what would work be considered as though?
I think finding your positions in your house, right? Okay. Like just figuring out what, like, there's so many, like it could be chores, right? It could be like, oh, the husband does this and the woman does this. Like there's a lot of battle like that at home now. Like, oh, if I cooked today, the man has to cook the next. There is those conversations happening, right? So finding that balance. So man also has to work towards like finding that balance with the woman. Like what's going to work for her? Can I also accommodate her? Because I also find like that's not happening, right? So when that scenario is not working, the woman's feeling like, hey, that man's not listening to me right now. So it's like it's coming from an ego place, but it wants to get to a place where you can find balance, you know. But then there's times where the man of the house just is not going to do certain things because he's never been taught by his mom, right?
Yeah.
So it's just educating them. It's educating them and feeling like, hey, I feel like I did this all week. Can you help with this? It's the communication aspect of it, right? Or like in a household where like they're talking about like paying the bills, you know, how are they dividing up the bills? I think having the clear communications when they start to first kind of get together is very important. Having that balance and having that man needs to step up and really have that conversation with the woman too, you know. If she's feeling like that, why not make her feel more comfort and say like, hey, what can we do? What's going to make you feel better? Yes, you don't need me in terms of money, but we still have a partnership. How do we make this? Instead of just saying, whatever, you don't need me, fuck, I'm leaving, you know, like that's how we're taught. That's how our parents, our dads did it to our moms, you know? So it's the constant fear of like, oh, he can just walk out on me if I say something. But now women are like, I make my own money. I don't really care, you know? So you have to change that energy at home. And that's going to depend on both of you guys, not just one person. Yeah.
I think it's that, I think you put it kind of beautifully. I think it's the understanding the burden you put on each other. Because I think a lot of the time that misunderstanding can lead to far greater problems than it should.
Yeah.
Because like even like speaking in general, let's say like we can't, I don't know about other cultures, but in our culture, what's the one greatest thing is like the overburden responsibility we put on women, and then like in our community, like men have this unrealistic expectation of not expressing their feeling and thinking it's not okay.
Exactly.
Because there's so many times I have been around circles of like, you know, the guys hanging out, they're just drinking, right?
Yeah.
But like it's only those times where their emotions come out, which is so toxic.
It's so bad.
It is. The fact that it takes you to the most extreme level of being coherent is that's when your emotions can be expressed. It's scary because now it's like, oh, this is how this person really feels, because they're being the fullest, clear, honest person in the moment where the most coherent, they won't even remember about this conversation they had tomorrow.
Yeah, because they're so intoxicated, they'll say whatever is actually on their mind, which is 99% truth, you know? So I think it's such a wrong way to do it. And alcohol is a problem in our community, I think just in general. You know, people that are drinking, that drink too much, it's probably one of the biggest disease our communities have.
I think so. And it's the hardest one to quit too.
It is.
Like, it's like a coping mechanism for a lot of people, like especially like people that when we see in our culture is like, in our communities, like, okay, coping mechanism. What is it? Oh, some issue with our parents from back in the day. It'd be like the most dumbest stuff that comes out of the conversation. Be like, oh, you never bought me a gift. It's like, what? It's like, what are you talking about?
And it's part of trauma, right? Like that could create trauma for a kid. But I want to ask you this, since you asked me this question, like, being a male, like what would help you open up to a female to be like, hey, can I express myself? Would she understand me? Like what would be your way to do it?
I mean, it's funny that you asked. So recently I was talking to my girlfriend about this. I told her, I'm like, I've been stressed. I'm like, sometimes I feel unheard. She's like, what do you mean by that? She's like, I care. She got in defense. I'm like, no, I'm not saying you don't care. What I told her was, I'm like, for me, it's like, I want to be the provider, right? I'm like, by any means, because that's for me, taking care of you and myself and my household that I provide is like the greatest accomplishment for me. She's like, okay. But then I'm like, sometimes when I do voice certain things that are going on in my life, whether it's financially, whatever it is, it might be a concern during that time, but the importance in my head compared to the importance in their head, it doesn't connect. So for them, they think that
it's way bigger than it is.
For us, it's like way bigger in the head. Like we explained it, but we think our simple, what I just told her, it would have the same impact as happening in my brain. But for them, it doesn't correlate that same. Like I really have to break it down, be like, hey, this is mentally is messing me up. So for me, it was that struggle of really telling her like how bad it was messing me up and how it made me feel and internalize things. It made me feel unheard. So then she told me, she's like, okay. She's like, if you put it like that, she's like, I understand.
Okay. So you changed your ways on telling.
So it was more so on me, the fact that, because like communication when it comes from our side is more so like we're afraid of being judged by a partner. That's the greatest thing as a man, of like being down upon, because we don't want to be seen as weak. That's the issue. But thing is, like, as soon as I realized it's not deemed as weak if I were to put myself like, hey, I'm not in my best mentally or physically, whatever it is, due to this. It's okay to express that to your partner. And understanding they're not your enemy. They're not going to look down upon you if they really love you. If they do look down upon you, maybe that's not the person that's meant for you, which is okay as well. So that was the biggest thing for me, personally.
And we also, like, I think human beings as well, right? Like, if you say something, I will comprehend it the way I want to. And it might not come across as how you want it to come across. So, because of maybe my limitations on how I deal with situations. So that can happen as well. So actually sitting down with them and explaining is really good, because that's the frustrating part of a relationship. It happens with our parents. It happens with our siblings, you know. At the end, we're all just fighting. It's like, well, why are we even fighting? Like, why can't we be heard? And they also say, like, when you're actually fighting, you feel like you have to yell, because it's not that, like, they can't hear you. It's because our hearts separate so far that you feel like, I'm so distant from this person not even getting us. So it's good that you're, you know, at least networking that way. So,
but it's just like majority of, like, even for my own experience, like this is the issue that I have, is similar to what Amber saying, is like, seems like we need to sugarcoat, because we don't want to come off too aggressive. Because like, even I tell, like, Amber and I, we talk about everything. So for between us, we don't sugarcoat anything at all. It's completely open. But the thing is, like, if I'm dating someone and I'm trying to explain, because I'm like, this is another thing. I mean, this is another thing adding to dating. It seems like a lot of these conversations are not in depth. When you do get in depth, then people tend to, like, drift away from, like, what's actually important. So, like, if it's something emotional, like, for example, if I am talking to someone, I don't go full out in the sense of, like, okay, exposing everything. I do need to sugarcoat it, because my mind thing is, like, the way I interpret it is not the same way that I want to speak to you, because it just seems like maybe you're not just ready for it yet, or maybe it's just the male aspect is a little more aggressive, but because I want to protect you, that I don't want you to feel offended by me, that I need to sugarcoat it. Right? And that's what goes in my, like, there was this one time I was talking to someone and I just blanked out. I was like, how do I even explain this to you? Because I was like, okay, if I'm going through something financially, I don't want you thinking that I can't take care of you. Right?
There's a lot of pressure on men, right? That's like, sometimes, like, you feel like women have the upper hand, because, like, you always have to be you have to feel like you're the provider, you know? So
it's just, like, more a protective mechanism in a sense of, like, okay, well, I don't want to lose you. Right? I actually like you, you know, I care for you. Because at the end of the day, like, men, like, we don't get the type of attention that women get, right? It's just how social media is. If we do get attention, it's because we built something for ourselves and we have that attention.
And it's so easy to have that attention shattered too, right? Like, somebody can come and break a man's heart so much faster too. I feel like, you know, men go through a lot of that. Like, I haven't been in the dating scene at all here, but I've heard, like, my friends are in there, right? Like, what's happening on the online thing. I'm like, this is just crazy. Like, I couldn't ever imagine things like that could happen, you know?
So it's a lot of work that, you know, as a man, it takes, like, how much work it takes, and, you know, dealing with how it is, like, with all the influence of social media and all that sort. But it is tough, though. Like, it is really tough. At the end of the day, like, what Emma's saying is, like, look, if you're not willing to listen, like, share emotions and stuff like that, then you're just not the right person for me.
And then also just, and just knowing yourself at the end, right? Like, what do you really want? Like, what is what's up? So, and I think that's when you can really connect with the right person, where you're not going to feel that way about yourself. So.
Yeah, no, when it comes to relationship and stuff like that, you can...
I'm not a relationship coach.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
at all.
It's like you can dive in. There's so many...
advice from.
It's like you can dive into so many things, you know. But, like, even like yourself, it's having your husband by your side. It's a beautiful, what you want to say... thing to see as well, how you guys work, because, like, I seen Raj, some of his stuff that he does. I don't know how he's, like, up at 3 a.m. or, like, doing red room therapy. I'm like, I am in the middle of
the red room therapy is the me crazy.
Oh, is it you? So how did you balance that with him? Because, like, he is like a go getter. Like, you know, he worked for what he has and get to the point where he is. It doesn't just come but just sitting on your bed and just magically wishing for it.
He's an extremely hardworking man. Like, I couldn't even explain like it's amazing to have his energy around, because you're like, I'm not doing enough, man. Like, come on, like, are you up yet? Or, you know, like, did you go to the gym yet? I'm like, this is
it's 4 a.m. Leave me the hell alone.
But yeah, it's constantly, you know. And when we got married, my brother, because my brother's seen my growth, right? Like, whether it be in any career, like, he's like I've always been the caretaker at my house. So my brother's seen me at a role of like leadership at home. And then when we got married, he did a speech and he's like, I thought, you know, I didn't know what kind of man my sister would marry and who would be able to deal with her, because she's so bossy sometimes and all that. Right? She goes, and then I met Raj Admi. Right? It was like, okay, he can really handle her, right? So it was really cool. He's very hardworking, and I think he's one of my mentors, honestly, at home. Like, I get mentored by him. Like, he'll keep me on my toes, where he's like, well, did you do this? You were committed to do this for yourself. Did you make it through? Or like constantly reminding me, like, hey, you said you were going to do this course. Like, what's happening with that now? You know? So it's like a built-in like home coach, you know. So he's constantly, because he knows how much I want to thrive in my own business, and he knows what my goals are in terms of whether it be financial or whether it be my health, whether it be my family. All of my goals are like presented to him, and I'll be like, hey, this is my goal this year. I want to earn this much. Okay, so what are your steps? What are you gonna do? So we work on all of that, you know. It's not like we talk about business like constantly at home, because he knows how much I'm dying to be at the level I want to be in my career.
How is it with like, because both of you guys are hustling, you guys are doing your thing.
Yes.
How is it with like trying to balance between just being just a relationship, like just like you guys yourself, and trying to separate the business side because business is being brought into the household?
I think it's just like having freedom for both of us, like having the freedom to be able to do whatever we like, and then coming in the middle where like, hey, I need assistance with this, or I need help with this. Can you step in, or like, can you give me some guidance? I think that, and then me knowing like, hey, he's actually extremely busy right now. Maybe he can't be involved with what I'm doing, so I'm just not gonna. You know, I'm not going to bother at this time. Like, I'm just going to give him his space, which is really important. Like, right now he's going through a project that's really important for him. So it's like, you need to give him his space, and you need to just let him work the way he wants to. So having that, and like, you know, constantly just supporting each other when I know like he needs time to do something, and just constantly not being on him, you know. I think that really helps. And in terms of like us doing projects, like he's a master of like, he'll be like, show me a business plan, right? Like then he'll be like, okay, maybe this is worth it or not. So that's the kind of communication we have. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah,
okay.
And
that might be going in circles.
No. And, you know, that kind of fits in beautifully in a sense where how it kind of allows you to have meaningful connections. So what I mean by that is, a lot of the times when we are in relationships, it kind of overlooks everything else you do in life, because it kind of, your relationship is like your byproduct of what you're doing in real life, whether it's just friend circles, who you hang around with, because now you create this expectation for yourself that you want to have like meaningful connections with people. Because now you're doing everything with a purpose, because like a lot of the times we have meaningless connections with people that we don't need to have. Spend time with people that we don't need to spend. And how did that allow you to grow in like outside of your relationship to the other circles, whether it's business and whatnot, in having connections that helps you and helps your purpose that you're trying to put out there? You know,
I think it's just knowing who is the right person in your circle is so important. You know, you'll see a lot of people that are just really shady, you know. And I feel like as I'm getting older, I can pick up on those really fast. Like, I know this person is just in it for something, and you just slowly have to not be with them, you know. So that's really important for your career, like, because they're gonna drain all of your energy out. You know, not just a little bit. Like because I'm an extrovert, and I find like when I'm at events, I am like getting pretty much like asked questions all the time. So like you feel like everybody's taking your energy, and then by the time you're home, you're like, exhausted. I'm so tired. Like, what's happening to me? But it is that, right? People will take your positive energy, right? They'll be like, oh, how come you do this and this? And I'm like, wow, like I didn't realize I was doing this many things. So I narrow down people's focus where I'm like, hey, I'm only doing these 2 things. That's all I do. My main focus is just X and Y. That's it, right? So letting people know that you're not just out all the time to like to network with them or whatever, right? It's making sure that they know that you're serious in your business, you know, so then they don't bother you as much, because you can have that negative impact in your life, and it can actually, you can bring it at home. It can start arguments. Like, it can have a ripple effect, you know. So he protects his energy a lot more than even me, you know. I'm still a little bit more social than he is. So his energy is very protective because he went through a downfall himself, you know, where he's like, well, my friends were never, like, people that I thought were my friends were never there for me. So just knowing, like, people that are going to always support you, doesn't matter what happens, are the ones that you need around you all the time.
Because you're a byproduct of your environment. You speak about it all
and
the
I'm
time.
sure you guys are like that, right? You guys protect your energy and each other's energy. So if you know somebody's coming your way, you're like, no, it's good. I don't need this right now, you know. So 100%. you'll even do it for him. So vice versa, we do that for each other, you know.
Yeah, I think you got to, whether it's like your relationship with your girlfriend or relationship with your friends, you gotta hold each other accountable and have some sort of context to what you guys are doing. Because if you're not, like, I genuinely believe this. I don't believe in having meaningless conversations. I don't. Yeah. I don't. I'm at a stage where I don't want to.
If you want to excel, you have to be laser focused. You have to be grateful when you get up.
Exactly.
The biggest thing is, like, hey, are you actually grateful for what you have right now? Because if you're not, you're not going to grow. Like, if you feel like you're still stuck here, like, oh, you're not even like what you have at the moment, you're not going to grow. So being grateful every morning, going to sleep, and you're like, thank God that I have all this, you know, like, thank God I can sleep in a peaceful environment with somebody that cares for me, you know. I'm glad my parents are okay. I'm glad my sister, mom, brother, being grateful for those small things is going to get us a long, long way. I know it's so underrated, but it's so important. You know? We talk about financial goals all the time. That is part of your financial goals because that's creating so much more discipline in you.
It is. And then, like, integrating that more to your career, you know, even like for yourself, like, I saw you got nominated. I apologize for butchering it. It was the RBC nomination.
So you butchered everything that you've talked about.
I apologize. I apologize. I apologize. But so the RBC nomination award, it was amongst, I think, women.
It's women of influence. Again, those are like accolades, small things, right? Those are accolades that are great to have because it kind of boosts your confidence.
Yeah, that's what I was
speaking on. Are you really doing the real work?
Exactly.
I know so many people that'll fight for those accolades, but they're not really even doing the real work.
So that's what I actually wanted to get at because, like, a lot of the times, people want to just have that status, but actually has nothing to do with the process.
Or with what they're doing, you know. It's like, hey, can you get me in there, you know? So that happens a lot. Like, it happened in the pageantry world for so long, you know. Like, I've seen it all the time. So for me, the accolades are really not that important, even though when I receive them, I'm really grateful that somebody's taking their time and recognizing me. But it doesn't actually, like, whatever work I want to do, I will do that like 100 times more, even if I didn't get it, you know.
Wow. So that's a thing that I want to kind of understand is like the process aspect. It seems like you're more so like you're determined by what you're putting out there to be, as you said, that story is going to have a greater impact than anything else. Like even like the Late Bloomer show that we some people watch, like it's that story itself that has impact on people because it narrates so many different segments of people's lives, you know. So when you see that, it speaks to you. It's going to speak to the audience, and it makes you think. It makes you think different, you know. So it as you said. And then eventually that led you into filmmaking as well. When was that? Like,
I haven't actually made a film yet.
Have you narrated it, or were you just a producer, or like do you overlook it, or?
So I've EP'd a lot of projects, which is an executive producer. So what you do is you bring people together to work on the project. So a filmmaking part is called directing it. So I haven't directed a film, but I've been behind the scenes.
You've been in the industry.
The film. So my goal is to do a film, you know. That is one of my goals. My husband knows really well. I'm not saying anything out loud. No, but that is one of my goals, is to make a film that is going to be impactful and meaningful. And I'm working on that process. It takes a long time, you know. So when people win Oscars and they win like Emmy Awards, it's not happening because they got up and they did this amazing project. There's a process to it, you know. So I am looking for my next project where I'm like, hey, I'm going to put my heart and soul onto this because this is going to make an impact in somebody's life. So my process has already started, which I'm really, really grateful about. And it started because of the festival as well. Like I've committed my pretty much 10, 11 years of my life to the film festival that I do, and I meet some amazing people through the non-for-profit organization. So my step now for my next steps is also to make a project that's going to be impactful, and then my career in real estate itself is because I have this attachment because when I moved here, I wanted to build a house for my mom. And I was like, I'm always going to want to learn how to earn income from it, or like, make my wealth from real estate itself. So, investing in it, making my next project. Those are the two really hardcore things that I'm focused on at this time.
Okay, cool.
So when I produce my next film, you'll have to be a part of it.
I'll be on there. I'll be one of the cast people, whatever. Even if it's the background, I'll be there. I can't be missed. But what was like one of the projects that you work with that kind of made you realize, like, you know what, I really want to do this more and more? Or what was like, have you ever been a part of a project that made you realize, like, you know what, this is cool? Like how the process worked? Or was there something that, because I saw that one skit, like I saw on your IG obviously with Diljit and whatnot. I don't know what I didn't understand the context of it.
Can you imagine? Okay, so Diljit's, and he's obviously, like he's made us look so good, right? Like when you look at Diljit, you're like, hey, I can represent myself anywhere. I can even say Punjabi aage hoye, jitne marji keh do, right? Like I can say it out loud with proud because he's made us feel that way. So thank you, Diljit. So when we were doing the commercial, like one of the things was like the director was like, oh, he's going to feed you. I'm like, what do you mean he's going to feed me? And the girls were like, what's going on? Like, what do you mean he's going to feed you? I'm like, I have no idea. I didn't get this.
Can he feed me too?
Yeah. They were like, literally, you're so lucky right now. He's feeding you. I'm like, I know. It's kind of nerve-wracking though, right? Because I'm like, he's literally like putting us, and it was like probably the best rasmalai I've ever had, right? Even though it's like one of our friends' company. I'm like, dude, this is like the best rasmalai ever.
So funny.
No, you're like, Raj, step it up.
Like, he was literally like probably fed me 20 times. And I'm like, because like,
please no more.
It was like retakes. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I guess I can do this all day. But it was really nice. He was really great to work with. A project that I worked on was Paldi. Paldi is really close to Paldi. Paldi is a village on the island where our first Gurdwara was built. Our Sikh Gurdwara was built. Okay. And it's so near and dear to the Sikh community at this time. It's become a historic place right now. And they did the History Channel, the Historic Canada, did a 1-minute piece on us.
Oh, wow.
After 100 years of Sikhs being in Canada, our first piece of history and the Canadian history was done now, like 2 years ago. So they've never, ever taken us and actually presented our history in any way. And the lady that did it, her name is Sitvinder Bains. She's from the University of Fraser Valley. She worked on this project for 7 years to get that approved.
Oh, wow.
So it took us so long to do a 1 minute.
Just for 1 minute.
For 1 minute.
7 years?
7 years. Isn't that a long time?
What?
So what people have been telling me now, it's like when they look at the film, they're like, where can we see the whole film? I'm like, it took them 7 years to do 1 minute film, So I feel like, having a film like that made for our Sikh history would be so important and impactful. That was a project when I was like, you know what? Like something like that needs to happen right away, because people are like, when is it coming? Are you producing it? I'm like, no, it's not in the works right now, but that is something that, a passionate person would be doing because that dictates us. That's going to live here when we're not even around, that's going to be in the history books or on somebody's movie where they can watch us.
I know, because like it's because like that, as you said, like I don't think people understand, like in the early 90s, people were literally coming on ships. Yeah. Some of them made it here. Some of them didn't make it here. Some of them took months on ends just to reach here.
So that's why when we compare how people are getting here now and when they don't respect the system, we compare them to those people that died almost to get here and how much they struggled, whether they came illegally or illegally, it didn't matter at that point. It's like, hey, I'm gonna survive here no matter what,
What do you find the future of the filmmaking in Punjab?
Because there's so many.
Because like now we're getting a lot more like Diljit's doing his his own thing, like making sure like we're being put on the stage. Like I think there's that one film Punjab 95. I think that's still kind of like up in the air.
1984.
But thing is,
there's new ones. Punjab 95. Because remember the one I was talking about that it got denied, it got delayed.
About just once saying he made the movie for so pretty much what Just One Thing stood for at the time was he was uncovering what happened in 1984 and how many murders were kind of covered up. Yeah. So he was taking on the character as a lawyer for Just One Thing, and then when the movie was made and put out, and then the India government's like, okay, Definitely not.
Yeah.
No surprise.
Yeah, it didn't go through the censor board, so they couldn't. Yeah, that happens in India. You know, when there's political agendas like that, that's a thing that.
But it's part of our history. Like, it's just. I mean, I can understand from India, like, it's a reputational kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you know, the type of things, like even that movie. I know there's another movie. It's called, I think, Lioness. I think it's about Ranjit Singh's wife.
Okay.
I can't remember the full.
Maharaj Ranjit Singh.
Yeah. It's being produced in UK.
Yeah. I think what we need at this time in the filmmaking scene is really serious investors.
Yeah.
You know, people that actually believe in the product. Like, the films that are going out there right now are good, but are they really giving a message at the end? Are you just making a film just to be known as a producer, you know? So the seriousness of it's gonna come when people that are serious about our stories will get together and create that project. You know, the serious investors are needed at that point, at that level. Because if you're looking at doing a period piece from, like, you know, 1900 or even before that, you need that serious cash to be able to make that film. It's a lot of commitment. But those are the films that will go and win Oscars for you. You know, so
when those movies even come out, it brings you to tears. Like, even the one movie where I don't know if it wasn't Diljit, it was the other actor. There was just one scene. It was in the Jallianwala Bagh. He was carrying the bodies back and forth in the wheelbarrow.
Okay.
I forgot what that actor name is. He's really good. He's married to one of the famous actresses. And I don't know why. I got so emotional. I started crying.
It's a very emotional part of our life.
I started crying. I'm like, wow, like, for what we represent and what we look like, this is what our people live through.
Yeah.
And then, you know, again, it's...
but, you know, it's happening everywhere right now. Look at what's happening on the other side of the world. Is that fair? You know, what's happening there? Like, how
there's
is
so many untold stories.
Yeah. And I think because of how social media is now, we have access to it, right? We were not told all these stories when that was happening at that time because we didn't have access. I think there were, like, really miserable things happening in the world which we just never found out about, but now we are. You know, we're more educated.
I agree.
Our responsibilities even more now, you know, because we're being educated on things that are happening.
Yeah,
so
it's like us questioning, like, what happened. Like, even the historical facts is, like, in a way, like, brainwashed what the history is. You know, like, in the books, what you read is not, like, actually what transpired. There's so many different things. Like, even that, I remember I was talking to one of my friends. He's from Bangladesh, and there's this in Myanmar, Burma. It's borders to Bangladesh. In 2015 or 16, there was an act of genocide that was committed. It was like a small little Rohingyan population. It was that's predominantly Muslim people, but Burma is predominantly Buddhist people.
Yeah.
Over millions and millions of people died. A lot of people fled to Bangladesh. Bangladesh had one of the biggest refugee camps in the world. There was no non-for-profit organization there. Nobody. No media coverage, no nothing. Yeah. And then during that year, their leader won the Nobel Peace Prize.
That's insane.
Like take that in. You committed an act of genocide. You killed millions of people, displaced millions of people, and then on the other hand, you win a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
But as you said again, with power of social media, we see this everywhere. Just a video can be. Everybody has access to it. Now we're like, you know what? You can't hide the truth no more.
Yeah.
You can't. You know, and that's what a beautiful thing.
And we all have to talk about it too, right? Like, we have to make sure that we're bringing the truth out instead of suppressing it. So
exactly.
that's also very important.
I think talking in a manner where it's where you can have a conversation in an open environment is also key.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have a closed-end opinion because sometimes it's hard to understand their perspective, but like, because they're so passionate. Because like, imagine if I talked about Palestine or Israel compared to someone who's from that region, they can be way more passionate. They can be way more...
Oh, big time.
Right? So it's just that understanding and having that open mind in regards to having this conversation is cool. And, you know, as you said, having meaningful content out there it's I love it. I'm a sucker for documentaries. So I love
think we all have to do our part in making sure that how we should be remembered when we're not here. Because we're not here forever. We're only here for a short little while. So like, you have to make sure that you're happy when you're here. You're doing what's good for you. You know, you're doing good for your people that's around you. That's the most important thing. So
do you ever feel like, this is the one thing I was wanting to talk to you about, you ever feel like a pushback? Like, because like, okay, you're a woman in a space where you're succeeding and whatnot. Do you feel like a lot of people might not take you as serious because they feel like, oh, you're a woman, like, oh, like Mannu Canada, that's whatever. Like, sometimes there is that little, the undertone.
There is, but honestly, there's a lot more that supports me.
Yeah.
Right. So then it kind of just like it doesn't really even matter because there's such a big community that supports me. So when there is that, it almost doesn't even count.
It's like a small wave.
It doesn't even count now. I grew out of it. It used to really bother me when I was younger.
Really?
But now I'm like, I have such a big support system that little noise is not gonna do anything to me. You know? So you just have to build from it and just, a lot of women will maybe still get stuck there, but it's like you gotta move out, you gotta move forward. Like I was telling you earlier, for me it doesn't matter to me what people are saying out there, because at the end of the day when I die, people they're gonna only remember what how I made them feel and what happened at that time. It's nothing else is gonna matter. So, and we're not gonna be remembered in 100 years. Like I was talking to my husband, I was like, dude, do you even remember your great grandma?
Yeah.
And, no, I don't remember my great grandma. So I'm like, in 3 generations, we're going to be completely wiped out, forgotten. So whatever you're going to do, you leave a legacy now for yourself on how you want to be portrayed in the future,
Yeah.
Maybe build something, because I feel like buildings are going to stay.
Yeah.
That's so true. Like there's one thing that I always live by. I know it sounds weird, but like I'm like, never work for your first name, work for your last name. I'll tell people that. I'm like, for me, it's like, okay, it's like, even if, let's say, Amir was a great person, whatnot, that will, whether he's a bad person, it might last for a year or 2, but slowly it dissipates, it disappears. Yeah. What lives on is a name that you passed on for the generations to come. That what lives on. Yeah. If you're not building that from that aspect, I feel like to a certain extent, you're living from a selfish aspect, where if you're working for your first name, which is not a bad thing to do, but it kind of, it's an undertone to the grander picture in life where, I don't know, I always had that, for me, that's always that perceived.
Because that's where we're ingrained. Like, everybody's living in this selfish era right now, which people don't care about any of these things anymore, right? So it just, leave something where people are going to remember that you made them feel good about themselves or whatever. But in 100 years, nobody's going to remember me and you.
It's true that's how it is. That's how life works. But on that note, like it's. I mean, we had a beautiful conversation, but I feel like everything, career-wise, relationship-wise, and how you perceive life. Is there a certain topic you feel like that I always ask people this? You feel like we don't talk about enough, or there's certain things that we need to advocate for more, or is there some things that you want to bring a change to, like given what's happening right now, or? You feel like there's some topics that you want to be like, we should talk about this more, or have this more open discussion about certain things, or it could be anything. Yeah,
I really like that you guys are talking about men and women in a space where how can they grow in a relationship together better, instead of just saying leaving this person is better, or this, okay, there's going to be another one that I can find. How do you strengthen relationships? That's really important topic, because I feel like there's so many people out there, they just can't find the person that they want to, they want to live their life with. And why do we want to, what's the real reason why we want that person? It's like, we want them to look at our life, how beautifully we've lived, and vice versa, So it's like they create meaning for our life. Otherwise, who are we really? We're all nobodies, So that person is so significant that they're gonna make you remember who you are, and vice versa. So talking about those relationships, how do we strengthen them is a beautiful topic that you guys talked about, and I think we need to shed more light on that. And then just highlighting a lot of people that are doing really well, women that are doing really successfully well, and they have homes that they run beautifully, I think that's important to make sure that, hey, there's women that are balanced, and they want to make sure that they're there for their husbands, and the husbands are there for them. I think that's a big thing that we need to, because some women that are housewives are underlooked because they think that, they don't have a role to play. They have the biggest role to play. The man will not move if the woman hasn't looked at the calendar yet. So these women are really powerful, and some of them are highly educated, intelligent women that just chose to now be at home. Hey, we'll take care of the kids, because that's important to them. It's not like it's a decision that was just made by her. It's like, hey, let's do this together. For the first 10 years, you be at home, I'll do X, Y, Z. And then in 10 years, 12 years, you can move forward with your career. And within that time frame, I have met women that are studying, that are going to school to excel on what they want to do after the kids grow up, So
that's so huge.
Yeah.
I think
that's huge. Like, first of all, you're taking care of the kids, you're doing everything. Then you're studying on top to be like, hey, when I do come out of this, I'm going to be like an engineer or a psychiatrist or like a doctor, you know? So it's not like they're just taking the time out to just take care of the kids. They're taking care of themselves too. So I really commend those women that are doing that at their house.
I think it's showing grace for the leadership that a woman presents in a household, because a leadership is in different facets, as you said, but that leadership within the household, it's not that needs to be coddled, it needs to be appreciated. And that's what a lot of the times that women feel understood or misheard, because they're like, I'm not being appreciative of everything that I put forth. I don't need big gestures. I just need my partner is thankful for me, or like, hey, thank you for today. Thank you for what you do. That goes so long. Like, just saying that thank you, we don't know how much that impacts them. And I think, as I said, it's like that having that grace and understanding where like that leadership is needed. Without it's hard to process a house, and vice versa. When it comes to a woman perspective, like understanding like the man's hardship, as you said, it's about balance and understanding. A conversation is never.
It's really communication.
A person that you love, a conversation is never too hard to be had. That's not a thing. There's never a conversation. I'm afraid.
It's okay. You can text them.
You can text them. If you don't want to have it, you can text them or send them a voice note nowadays.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, right? So if you're like, shit, it's not working for me. I gotta text this person, you know, or
anything.
Like I gotta write an email.
You really do.
However you want to get it out, and then you know you come to a point where like, hey, did you see my email? Okay, yes, I did. Make it like a business then, you know.
Really,
but get it out there.
Yeah, no, and that's what we built this platform on, just having conversation that I feel like we need more and more.
Thank you for having me here.
No, thank you for coming out. It was a good talk.
I do want to ask, like,
are we done with the time? I just don't want to go over.
No, don't worry about that.
Okay.
But yeah, I just wanted. Like, this is another thing I do want to ask is just, if you were to give advice as a female to a man, what would it be? Like, what advice would, and like what?
To what kind of man?
Yeah, what kind of man? Toxic man, masculine man, feminine man. There's so many type of mans.
Because like what they should understand within a relationship.
Yeah.
Or just just being in the role as a masculine, how it should be viewed from a woman's perspective.
That's very interesting because
because
I'm married and sometimes like it just. I think it's important to have the communication open, like there'll be times when like you don't want to say something and you're like suppressing it in and you're like, I don't know how to say it. So it's like, just get there somehow, maybe fight about it. I don't know. Just get there somehow, eventually get it out.
Get it out.
Because I'm telling you, like, we're not taught that way. Like at home, we've seen our parents be suppressed. Our dad being suppressed, our mothers being suppressed, It's not just a woman problem. It's a man problem, bigger than a woman problem, because women can just say it how it is. Men, they don't know how to say it. They'll suppress, like you were mentioning earlier, they'll suppress it. They'll be quiet about it, or they'll like, go away and be like, I just need some open air and I want to, so resolving it is really important, I think just having that open mind at home, and then just making sure that your partner will get to a point where they'll understand you, right? Like it might not happen the first time, it might not happen the second time, but eventually when you keep telling them like, hey, this bothers me, can you not do it this way, So I think that's really important. And from the woman's perspective is also like actually listening to like what the person's saying. Like if the person's saying like, hey, I need some space, like, or like, like I want to do something that's like more impactful for him at that time. So like really, really not being offended by it fast enough too. I'm sure I do it all the time myself, but it's like not being offended, because sometimes we're like, oh, well, you're not paying attention or whatever it is. So, and that happens a lot too. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Can I go deeper into it? No, I feel like
if you want to, by all means.
I kind of got lost a little bit. But yeah.
No, it's good.
I think it's just everybody has their own stories and own struggles. You're just learning to navigate each other, knowing what their boundaries are. Our parents didn't know
how to communicate with each other. My dad, I can tell you, my dad still doesn't know. Like, even if he had issues, he would not talk about it. He'd be like, "Main theek ha."
Such a negative way to look at it. Yeah.
And we're because we're in that type of household, like then we have the full responsibility of trying to figure it out, even though we don't.
Then you figure it out in an outburst, right? You're either like screaming or yelling, and you're like, you don't know what's happening to your body, right? So that's almost like you're traumatizing yourself and people around you, because they're like, why is this person being crazy now, right? I've never seen this side of this person. So it's like don't let it go to that level. Yeah.
I agree. No, that's beautifully put.
It's so easy to say it, but it's so hard to do. So it just takes practice.
It's a lot of patience. It's a lot of patience from the man's side, the woman's side, and understanding who you're with is really worth it. Yeah. At the end of the day, unless like you just, I hope people end a meaningful relationship, and then I think majority of people try to have that. So
and let your man be weak if he needs to be in front of you.
Times,
you know, like don't make him feel shitty. Like why would we ever do that? Like if you can be weak in front of your man, like he should be able to do it. You know,
that's so true.
That's so true.
Yeah, like why are we gonna be a judge of that? Like that doesn't say anything about the person. It's like, hey, I'm feeling low right now, so you're there to make sure that he's at 100%. You know, if you're not at 100%, he'll make sure that you're at 100%. So supporting that with each other, and honestly taking care of yourself. If you're not mentally strong, if you're physically not strong, if you're not working out, if your diet's not on control, these are all the factors that's gonna eventually get to you, right? And it's a fact, because literally me and my husband live by it. We're like, how do we get better in terms of like our health? Because that's what's, if I'm not feeling good, why would I talk to you nicely? I don't need to talk to you. Like, I'm feeling shitty today. I don't need to talk to you. My energy's low. I don't need to talk to you. You know? So it's constantly working on yourself, on your attitude to be like, hey, I wanna be fit. Like I wanna be my 100%, so I can give that to my partner.
That's so true. Yeah,
we don't take care of our health. Like half the people half the people don't even know what kind of problems they have. You know, so are you really digging deeper into finding out what problems you have? Because that's also creating your emotional imbalance, hormonal imbalance, all of that. So
I agree with that. I think when you're not when it comes to that aspect, it's such a deeper. I think that what leads to 9 out of 10 times.
And it feels like such a woman problem. Like I'm talking about it, you're probably thinking like, okay, it feels like more like a girl's problem, but it's not. We're a human body. We both have that, right? Both like having our imbalances, men and women both have it. So really studying, like spend your time in like educating yourself on your body. Like we're not doctors. Nobody taught us unless you're a doctor, right? Like learn what's happening internally with your body. Go get your testing done. Like go full out. Like make yourself a project.
It's so true.
Right? Make yourself a work project and say, hey, this is what's wrong with me. This is how I'm going to dissect it. And this is how I'm going to come out of it.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Can't say it any more perfectly.
Yeah. Like make your health like a work project, right? I always tell everybody, like, hey, if you feel like, hey, there's a business plan for your business, there should be a business plan for your health.
Yeah.
So.
Hey.
Yeah, be in control.
We got a new business. We got a new business happening. We need a business plan for health. But it's really important, even for you two. You know, like really commit to making sure that you guys are healthy. That's when, if you're taking care of, you can take care of your partners.
I agree with that. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But on that note, that was I love this podcast. It's a good podcast. Thank you for coming again, taking your time out of the day. On that note, we'll see you guys on the next podcast.
Right. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace.
Thank you so much.
That's it.
That's good.